Erica, hi, Jim Delapine here. So let me give you some additional support with this. Okay, so first of all, the elements that you have here that or you're using, they're really not the best combination. I mean, you have, you, you know, they all just don't seem to meld together as well as they could, but you'll still be getting the techniques. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, let's look at the broccoli here, and you have the apple here. So you have the apple above the broccoli. Now, oh, I see something. You deleted the layer mask for this. You see this? You also have a levels adjustment layer on top of everything. So what that's doing is affecting all of the underlying layers. Okay, so if you wanted to affect the fork, for example, or the knife only, what you need to do is create a clipping mask out of it like you did down here with the background. Okay, so that's where you will lose points. Okay, so you need to do this. You also need to have it saved, and well, do have it saved and rename selection. Okay, so that's good. So now, all you need to do for, let's say, this levels here to attach, you need to attach it to the fork or the underlying layer is Alt or Option click in between the layers of the levels adjustment layer and the underlying layer. It'll now be attached to only that fork, although there's something going on here with this. Let me just isolate that layer. Yeah, see, okay, what happened was you painted on that layer. Uh, you paint, I don't know what you have here. So here's what you need to do. Select the layer mask, go to your paintbrush, make sure your paintbrush is at 100% hardness, okay? And then you have black as your foreground color. And you can adjust your brush size by hitting the left or right bracket key, so I'll make it a little larger. So now what I want to do is, if I isolate this layer here by alt clicking on the visibility icon, you see that you have this red of the apple here. I don't know how you got that in there, but you're going to get rid of that by clicking on the layer mask and then just painting that out. Okay, so there. So now it's gone. Okay, so the idea is to now create a shadow. You needed to paint on the layer mask always, always, always. Never make sure you don't have the image parts selected, because then when you paint, you're actually painting on the image. Okay, so and there's something going on here with this. Yeah, you kind of have a little bit of a let's see, this layer here, the apple. Let me isolate that. So you painted, I don't know what you did, but let's do this. Okay, I'm going to show you how you can fix this. You also deleted the background pixels. It has a layer mask, but you didn't use it to mask up the background. So I'm going to go to my lasso tool with the apple layer or apple image thumbnail selected. You're going to put a selection, draw a selection around this little area that you messed up here. There's also areas on top, and then hit Shift F5. Shift F5 will bring up the content to where, or the fill dialog box, and by default it will say content to where, and then hit OK, and that will average in everything, and then, you know, it's not the best end result, but it's a good end result. Okay, so that will kind of average everything out. So let me just alt click again. So now what you're going to do is create shadows. Okay, well, before I show you that, uh, you want it to look like the fork is piercing the blueberry. So that means you need to go to the blueberry and then get the fork. So the blueberry's above the fork. Okay, so what you're going to do is select the blueberry layer, okay, this blueberry, and then Control or Command click on layer 26 thumbnail of the layer mask. That makes that a selection. Okay, so I Control or Command clicked on this thumbnail for the fork layer mask. Then I'll zoom in. Then with the blueberry layer active and the thumbnail of the layer mask active, you're going to paint or mask out part of the fork, um, so that it looks like it's piercing. Okay, smaller paintbrush would probably be better. Okay, so here. Okay, so now if I deselect, you see it looks like it's piercing the blueberry. Okay, now what you're going to do is, if I zoom back out, for Fred, I see that you have a layer style, right? This layer style here for Fred. You're going to copy that layer style to the flipping food text above. Okay, so here's the flipping food. Here's the Fred layer. Here's the layer style. You're going to hold down your Alt or Option key if you're in the Mac, and then click and drag that FX icon down to flipping food, and then let go with your cursor first, and then let go of the Alt key or Option key. So what that did was it copied that same layer style to the flipping food. Okay, so this was before and this is after. Okay, so now it matches. All right, so now you're going to create shadows. You want to make it look like the fork is going into the apple, and if it is, it would be throwing a shadow. So with the fork layer active, you're going to create a new layer by clicking on the new layer icon. Well, you know what? You have an adjustment layer that was clipped, as I showed you before, although it doesn't look too good. It looked better before. So if you double click on this layer, the adjustment layer for levels here, bring up the dialog box, and then you may want to just make an adjustment here so that it has more contrast. You know, bring it to something like that. Okay. So that this is midtones. All right. You brought in. Well, just make it so it looks like there's a lot of contrast. Okay. All right. So now what you're going to do with that adjustment layer active, click on the new layer icon. So you have a layer above the apple and above the fork. Actually, never mind. Actually, what you do is you want this above the apple but below the fork. So drag that new layer down in between, right above the apple, right here. Okay. Then you're going to use no layer mask here anymore. You're going to select your paintbrush. You're going to click on the foreground color icon here, and you're going to get the color picker, and I want you to choose a medium to dark gray here. Okay, and then hit OK. So now gray is your foreground color. All right. Now you're going to go to your paintbrush and select 0% hardness. Okay. So now with your paintbrush active, you're going to increase the brush size to look something like this, maybe 80 pixels. Okay. And then you're going to paint underneath this fork here. It's going to look something like this. Okay. All right. So it looks like a mess. And now what you're going to do is put that into multiply mode. So now you have a true shadow. Okay. So now there's a few more things you got to do to this to make it look like a shadow. So you have the option of decreasing the opacity. Okay. But what I want you to do now is with that shadow painted and selected, you're going to create a layer mask for that. So click on that icon and then go to your paintbrush tool. Make sure it's at 0% hardness, and then you're going to change the opacity for that paintbrush. You're going to click here and bring it down to maybe 25%. Okay. Then you're going to increase your brush size up quite a bit, like this. You know, maybe 300, maybe 300 pixels. Okay. And now I'm going to click at the end here. You want this shadow to slowly eat away or dissipate. So if I click on the end, you're slowly kind of clicking away, and you know it's not the best shadow, but as you can see, I'm slowly eating away and masking out that part. Okay. And then you may want to get a smaller brush size. It takes some experimenting here, and eat this away right up here. All right, so there. So that's a shadow. So I want you to do the same thing for the fork on this side, maybe hit a little bit underneath where the asparagus is hitting in here. All right. So do that, and you'll be on the way. Okay. All right. Take care. Bye.